Hey guys, what's going on?
So, what's up, Joseph? Happy motherfucking Friday.
Yeah.
Another week MFP today, so we'll see. I didn't trade much today at all, but I saw a bunch of people in the chat trading up. So we'll take a look at where everything moved. And if you guys, whatever pairs you want to take a look at, drop in the chat. We're pretty much just going to cover all the analysis that we did on Sunday, how it played out for the week, and then pretty much go from there. This Sunday we'll do our Sunday market blitz again. I mean, it is 4th of July, so maybe we'll move it over to Monday, but we'll still meet this Sunday or Monday, whatever, and go over next week's analysis. So today we'll just be going over how this past week played out.
Yeah. There's some good trades. But yeah, we'll just get into it and see how we performed, see how everything played out. You want me to start off?
Yeah. If you guys were on the Sunday call, I mean, there were trades given out for free. We'll go over them in a second. That if you literally just took on the call, you would have done well this week. So let me give you access to share your screen.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And sometimes, guys, it's just the beauty of trend trading. You can catch these very nice intra-week moves and get some pretty big trades. Last week was kind of like a stale market. It was just kind of going sideways. We were consolidating on a lot of pairs, but that the week before that even was a huge impulse move on these higher time frames. So we've definitely been able to see a lot of movement on a every other week basis, but this was definitely one of those weeks. So there were some good trades here. Let's go. We'll work backwards from the analysis and then jump over to a new chart and kind of just talk about it a little bit. So we're going to start off with DXY. This was the only chart that was actually delivered as a daily analysis because we had just broken such a significant level, and we really wanted to see this confirmed on this time frame and see the kind of larger picture, if you will. So again, we saw that rally a couple weeks ago. Then we saw a whole week of consolidation. We're just above the monthly. We're waiting for a higher low to continue or to kind of give us confidence that this bullish trend is going to continue, right? So we broke a level. We want to see it retested, formed within the trend as a higher low, and then it, push higher. Let's see how it played out. Just as pretty much expected here. As good as this trend could be, good amount of indecision, a lot of wicks, a lot of reversal signals, especially on the lower time frames. Again, this is the daily, and then bullish volume just started stepping into the market and pushing higher. So we are at resistance now. This definitely has potential to push much higher. We do have our next major resistance level at 93.8. So maybe it can continue that high if this momentum picks up a little more and just stays consistent. But we'll see. So it's pulling back now. Let's jump over to the live chart for a second and see and talk about this a little bit more in depth because this is the daily. So we know that we definitely have a defined range here, right? This is definite support down here, 90 flat. This is pretty much the lowest of this on this time frame for the bit of structure that we're looking at, right? This is the low. Up here is pretty much the high. We're higher than the halfway point. We broke this major level, and this was kind of the pivot level for this time frame too, right? If we're seeing lower highs below this, we're generally bearish. If we're seeing higher lows above this level, like right here, and now here, we're generally bullish. And we're looking for those continuation suggesting that it's going to continue with that trend. So we saw that higher low, nice MA cross. These MAs got to catch up a little bit more. So yeah, it's either going to continue higher or we're going to start to see some consolidation, maybe a pattern next week or something, and then a continuation again. But yeah, so definitely bullish on DXY. Very, very bullish week. So let's go over to the next chart. AU. And this was kind of in line with DXY2. The TA lined up well. It just happened so that this was looking like a perfect short opportunity where DXY was looking like a nice rally opportunity. And that kind of played into this a little bit here. That helped us. So the TA on this was absolutely perfect. Very clear break of support after a long, period of consolidation up here. Very long period of consolidation. Finally drops, blows through major support levels, comes back, pulls back, retests, forms structure at a huge confluence level, and then gives us those lower time frame transitions for a nice trade. We're expecting that. This was kind of the analysis here, was expecting it to pretty much just continue downward towards major support levels. And if we broke above this level, this weekly right here, this was pretty much the pivot point. We're looking for higher lows to, maybe continue with a bullish trend. If this trend here became stronger, push through this level, we'd then look to continue with that. But, for this week, this looked like the absolute best possibility trade. So let's see how it played out. Absolutely perfect. Just kept dropping, hit support or broke support, hit a new low, and now it's pulling back. Basically still testing this level. We don't have enough data yet to see if it's going to pull back even more. We'd like to see a retest, see some higher lows before we can say, okay, this is the definite low. It's pulling back now. So we got to wait. But yeah, this thing played out absolutely perfect. Lined up. There were just so many things that lined up, right? The fundamentals on DXY, the TA on both charts here, and then countless confirmations. It's pretty much a textbook entry, textbook setup, and was pretty easy to spot, and it played out well. So let's go to the live chart for a second, talk about it a little bit more. So we are in the daily on this time frame here. So clearly you could see this level was massive support, right? It was holding this entire bit of structure here. And this is essentially consolidation. The market is, we can all agree is moving sideways here. A couple fake outs, but generally sideways. And this was the support level that was holding it. Finally broke. There's that lower high. That's why this move was so powerful. And that's why there was so much confidence behind it and why we were so able to spot it so easily. So now we're at the low. We're not going to short at the low. Again, we'll have to reanalyze, maybe a pullback, maybe a push lower, and then a lower high below this level. We could start looking for opportunities there. But yeah, looking bearish on AU this week. Let's just check the 4-hour real quick. So yeah, we're definitely at a low. It's pulling back with a good amount of momentum. We'll see where it stops and then start looking for a reversal setups potentially. We'll just see how it starts to react at these higher levels. But yeah, definitely a good trade. Let's move over to the next pair. AJ. So this one had pretty much the same analysis, same setup as AU. It just broke a massive support level that was kind of holding consolidating structure, right? 84.4 right here. There it is. But this actually was a little more clean, but more with also more volume. JPY pairs tend to have a little more volume. And I know AJ pretty well, so it's used to these huge dramatic pullbacks after a large move. It likes to pull back to the 78.6 area, 71 if you use it on these fibs. So again, huge break of 84.4, hit a low at 82.2, 200 pips away, pulls right back, hits the 200 EMA. We hit 84.4 just below it. So this is absolutely perfect. We got a rising wedge, good reversal setup there. And then there's some lower time frame confirmations that we were looking to enter on. That was option one. And then also right here, you can catch a retest off 83.8. So that was the most likely scenario. And pretty much as long as price action remained below this range at 84.4, we're generally bearish. If we saw a higher low above that support level, then we kind of change our bias, say, okay, we're back in the range. We need to approach this differently now. But, clearly it was showing way more signs of bearishness. So we were comfortable with this analysis here. And it did drop a little bit more, but now we are kind of consolidating. Looks like it's forming a bit of a pattern on a lower time frame. Maybe a flag with a little bit of a fake out there. But either way, it's consolidating, which is a good sign. So here was the impulse move. Here's the correction. Maybe this will push down now and confirm this level broken. Nice little lower high right here. And then we'll look to target down towards 82.2. It's a definite possibility. Let's go to the live chart. It's a little cleaner. Okay, here we are. So yeah, let's take a look at this for a second. So began making this move. We have a little bit of a trend line here, nothing too major. Again, maybe a lower time frame pattern. Let's see. I'm going to double check it on the 1 hour. So not quite. Even if it is slightly a flag, it's not the prettiest version of it. So we're just going to write it off as kind of indecision, some sort of consolidation right here at this level. So we really want to see it break lower, retest, give us an entry opportunity on a lower high, or we're going to wait for it to pull back. Maybe it's going to pull back and test 83.2. We just need to wait for some more definite conviction in this area. So we'll see. But definitely the bias is bearish still going into this week. So that's AJ. Let's move on to the next pair. So UJ again, we kind of suspected DXY to be super bullish this week. The US dollar was just showing a bunch of strength, was showing great confirmation. So we had a lot of confidence behind it continuing higher. So a lot of the majors kind of had that similar technical analysis behind it, right? We're expecting pretty much all USD pairs to kind of rally with the dollar. And yeah, so you could see that here too. The TA kind of reflects that. I was expecting it to pull back a little bit lower just for a more just defined higher low that we could have entered on. That would have been nice. And then we would have targeted 111.5. But pretty much we're very bullish on this, as I said. And let's see how it played out. So didn't pull back all the way. Instead, this was more or less a descending triangle that, happened to break out very quickly. So if you were to enter on this, there would have been maybe a lower time frame entry right here. You would have had to be pretty quick on it. Probably a 1 hour, 30-minute entry on this engulfing right here. And of course, break of the pattern after you saw some lower time frame levels breaking. But yeah, pretty much played out almost exactly as we thought, but it definitely hit our target 111.5, and then now it's coming back down. And we could see a higher low at this level of support. Maybe it's going to pull back a little deeper, give us a again a clearer entry down here. Better risk reward that way as well. So we'll see going into next week, but we are pretty bullish. It's very far away from this 200 EMA, so it's getting to the point where we're starting to look at it and say, okay, it's kind of overextended now. But let's go to the live chart for a second and just see how this is looking now. Let's zoom out. I want to get that kind of larger picture here. So yeah, we have a supporting trend line. This is kind of the max for this little channel right here. But yeah, kind of overextended, right? It's far away from the MAs or the 200 EMA. You like to kind of see it bouncing off the 200 EMA and then showing good volume. The further it gets away, the more dramatic potentially the pullback could be. So yeah, we're going to reanalyze this. We'll give you guys a fresh analysis next week, or well on Sunday, and then we'll be able to play this. Will the dollar continue to rally? Will it start to pull back a little bit? We'll see. But definitely still pretty much bullish on UJ, and played out well. So let's go ahead and move over to EJ. Okay, so this one we're showing some life. So the thing with EJ is once the volume kicks in, it really kicks in. This thing just starts freaking moving. And we could see that pretty clearly on every impulse move, or at least the start of every impulse move on EJ. Very, very dramatic, very large volume, and then it continues in a very steady trend for a while. And it takes a good amount of time for this thing to kind of reverse and change its direction. As you could see up here, a lot of consolidation here, slow reversal. We do have a bearish channel starting to form. Then we break a major level and the thing is just off, right? Huge volume, dumping dramatically. And again, this looks a lot like AJ, right? It drops dramatically, pulls back pretty deep. EJ does that. That's a characteristic of this pair as well. Huge, very dramatic pullbacks. And we fell short just of the weekly, just retesting 78.6, just fell short of that. Instead, we rejected the 200 EMA and consolidated at that level. The MA's caught up. We got a nice cross and then a break of 132 flat. So naturally, we were bearish on this, was looking for a quick little retest and then a drop with good conviction that we could then enter on. And I was pretty much bearish as long as we remained below this weekly at 132.75. So if we saw a break above that, pull back, retest higher low, confirm that level, then I would have started to think to change my bias. But after I saw this price action pretty much stopped right at the 200 EMA here, and then we started dropping down time frames, looking at it a little more closely, started building confidence as we saw price action shift from buyers to sellers. So let's see how it played out. Okay, it didn't have the volume that we wanted to see. Definitely wanted to continue with this type of momentum over here. Didn't really happen. It followed through, gave us a nice little retest there. Even if you did enter on this, you would have had an opportunity to either break even or maybe skim some profit. But it pulled back. This is the more dramatic pullback now, 132 flat. So now we could be seeing this confirmed on a couple more bearish setups. Maybe next week we'll see this well, or maybe for the rest of today, we'll see this pull back a little bit. Next week, we'll get some conviction, some bearish setups to confirm that. And then we could be looking at this trade path actually playing out. So this is a definite possibility for next week. We'll see. But yeah, we'll get into that more on Sunday. So that's EJ. Let's check the live chart real quick. So yeah, pretty much still valid, right? Still valid for next week. Did pull back, touch the 200 again, still technically a lower high. And now we're back below 132. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Still bearish on EJ. And yeah, looking pretty good. So let's go over to gold now. This one was consolidating like crazy. So I actually wasn't even looking at gold that much this week, but you guys can see that we had a huge pattern here. We broke 1800 on this is the daily time frame. Okay, so we're looking at it from a larger perspective because 1800 is kind of that pivot point for gold. As long as we're above it for the most part, we're bullish because this was also supporting this main structure here. Touched multiple times and just has held as a pretty key zone for quite a while. So once we broke below that, all bets were off. We broke, we pulled back, gave us a lower high. The thing dumped straight to 1675, gave us a double bottom, and then we were bullish since that point. Very, very bullish. And it actually looked like it was going to continue. We got a nice little retest. Was looking for a more defined higher low. It never happened. Instead, it pulled right back through 1800. And then it just started consolidating, which left me hesitant with trading gold this week last week too, because it had such a significant move and then price action just stopped. So normally after something like that, you'd like to see a pullback or at least a continuation to that and then pull back. You don't want to just see it start flatlining. So that means another move maybe building and there's really no clear way to see where it's going to go until we just see it break a major level or not. So I didn't trade this past week, but let's go to the 4 hour for a second and just show you guys. So yeah, this consolidation here, as we all know, when you trade ranges, you really just want to wait for a break of that, break to the upside, higher low, break to the downside, lower high. We also saw a major level right here. So this really needed to be significant for us to start looking at buy scenarios. And it just wasn't showing that. The thing just kept flatlining. I said to myself, all right, I'm just going to wait on this one. I'm not really going to force anything. I want to see this kind of continue more normal market conditions before we get into anything serious. So now it's starting to pick up a little bit. We broke out of the range. It's pulling back to retest. Maybe we'll get a good setup this week, but for right now, it's pretty much just kind of flatlining. It looks very similar to this over here. But again, I want to see a little more conviction. So maybe we'll get some more consolidation, wait for this 200 EMA to catch up a little bit, form some other patterns. Either way, you just got to wait a little bit. But yeah, so that's pretty much this past week's Sunday analysis and the charts that I prepared for you guys. And yeah, we do this every week. You guys can find us in the Telegram, Discord, and we'll be doing it again Sunday. But for now, Angelo's going to cover the ones that he did, and we'll see how they played out this week. But yeah, thank you guys. Pretty good week. Not bad.
Yeah, everything followed. I mean, the dollar was pretty strong early in the week, so everything followed the analysis pretty well. I'd say that swing trading is making its little comeback here.
Yeah, it's definitely dependable. It's very easy to know what you're looking for, and when you see it play out, there's no mistaking that. You can definitely get into some good trades, even if you're catching one or two of these a week. At 2%, let's say, if you're following the 2-to-1 risk reward rule, then you're making an extra 2% a week, which is honestly really good, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I'll go ahead. I'll bring up. I did most of the major pairs as always, so let's get started. I'll just pull up my ideas and then we'll just go from there. We can hop on the chart and break it down a little bit further. But first, let's look at USD CHF. So this one we were looking for one of two scenarios. We were in this downtrend on the 4-hour time frame. So as we can see here, weekly time frame price has gone bullish. We had a huge bullish candle 2 weeks ago. Then we had this minor little pullback here looking for support. We had this main resistance level at 9,300. So that was our target. That's up here. And then what I said was we're not going to take shorts until we get up to this 9,300 level. So as you can see, this is a more major support or resistance area. We've got this area that was tested previously, this resistance level, a lot of consolidation there. So I was not planning to short this until we got up to this area because of how much buying pressure we did have that stepped in. And then as you can see here as well, we have this flag pattern. So huge push up, price just starting to consolidate, but not making that like sharp move to the downside. So more times than not, this thing will just break, retest, and then head to the upside. And then as you can see, we had, I mean, this, played out pretty textbook. We had the break of the flag pattern. We retested the zone. So once this broke up, we had the retest and it wicked, pretty much confirming that we're breaking out of this pattern. And then we had this engulfing candle right there. So this one definitely was one that you could have followed pretty easily and, understood and learned from, and obviously got some profits on your account. I didn't actually take this trade myself because normally what I've been doing is taking some trades on Sunday and then just letting them ride for the week. This thing ended up playing out. Let's see when this would have executed. So this thing really executed on like Monday night, Monday evening. So I didn't get in on this one, but obviously you can see pretty textbook, pretty clean. And then it came up right to this 9,300 level, a little below there. And then you have that double top, that like double rejection of the zone. And then it pushed, directly down from that area about 45 pips. So just comes down to knowing where your zones are, guys. If we come on to the actual chart here and just take a look, we can clearly see this is how we had it marked. We go up to the 4-hour. We had our two scenarios, and we went over this on the call. We had our two scenarios here. We had this resistance level or the support level. So this is based on support right here, resistance right here. Boom. So we marked that down. This is the most relevant area. There's also another level up here. If we can see, we had support. This is just lower lows and then lower highs. So this was another area that could have became relevant for us, but this is the one I had marked. So pretty much I didn't want to take sells until we got below here, because that would confirm for me that this isn't like a flag or anything. This is actually, more downward push, more sellers are stepping in. But, the other scenario was price would break the flag pattern and then head to the upside, which it did. So I just marked this little resistance level. This was that structure that formed on the 4-hour. We had, again, the break of the flag. This could have been kind of your first confirmation. But if you wanted to even wait longer and even come down to a lower time frame, you can pretty clearly see price starting to make those higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows. And then once it started to sit above that resistance level, you had another engulfing right there. So that kind of just gave you that last confirmation. And then stops ultimately, we're back down in this area. So we had mapped this out Sunday, before any of this happened. So stops would have been down here below the support area. Obviously, it gives us a lot of room. And then targets would have been the edge. And then if we hit that, or if we got in on the trade, as we can see, it was a 2-to-1. So decent trade idea on USEF. And if you were, on Monday and following it, you definitely could have called that one pretty easily. So let's go to GU next. Give me 1 second. All right, so GU, we had two scenarios here. On the weekly time frame, this is how we were looking at it. We had this level of support. So we came down, had this large fall off from our main resistance level up here. And then we had this inverted hammer candle. So we have this candle. This is telling me that we could see some reversal, in the market. Coming down to the lower time frame, though, on the 4-hour, very clearly this is bearish. Broke support here, had this like nice pullback. We got our fibs on here, hit the 61.8, had like a little double top in that area below the support level. So definitely respected it. So that's why we were ultimately just looking for shorts. This trade was taken on Sunday. It was taken on my account and it was taken in the session. And we had our stops above here. So we had stops at 1.3 or 1.4. Our entry was down here. So stops were, fairly wide. I'm just going to come on to the chart. You can see how this one played out. I'm just going to bring it up so we can take a look at it. So as you can see, stops were pretty wide, 110 pips, but this is a swing trade. So we're looking to swing trade this one, to the downside to this target down here. So we had, and this was ultimately like, okay, we were in this like little mini uptrend, on the retracement. Then we broke support right here, and then support held as resistance, kind of double topped in that area. And then ultimately you could have gotten on this one. I had just entered over here on Sunday. Let's see what time. So this is when it opens. Pretty much. Where's this? Pretty much right here. So I'd entered here. I took some drawdown on this one. So price did kind of shoot up. And then we just maintained below this level. So this resistance level was based on a bunch of like indecision in the market. It's not as clear over here, but we can see right here, we have support, we have resistance, we have support, we have all this resistance on this area, and then even zooming in on this area, indecision, resistance, support. So definitely a major area on this 4-hour time frame. And then price is now, pushed down about 160 pips, which brings us to around 1-to-1. So what I did was I actually closed my trade right around here on Thursday, I believe, yesterday. Early Thursday, I just closed it. But this thing could certainly continue to head to the downside. I mean, it's coming back up now, pushing back up. If you're in the trade, definitely move stops to break even. You don't want to turn this into a losing trade, and pretty much just comes down to this level. We teach the aggressive risk strategy. I'm just going to remove this. Just basically how to maintain your order. So if price comes up and does one of these and rejects this area, you're going to want to exit right around here. You're going to want to exit on the rejection of this zone right there. Now, to the contrary, if price manages to start to reject this level, if price manages to start to reject this, that's when you're going to want to add to your position. So pretty much this is how you're going to maintain the order. If price closes on the 4-hour above here, retest this, then you can exit. Don't just start to exit as soon as it pops up. You always want to exit on that higher low. If this thing is going to start to reverse, it will pull back. Now, it doesn't mean don't put your stops to break even at this point, because if this thing just shoots all the way up and you were 160 pips in profit, and then you take a loss, basically this thing travels freaking 200 pips on you. Just a bad trade. It's just a bad idea. So that's how you can maintain this trade if you are in it right now, and that's pretty much how GU played out for the week. So let's go next to GJ. GJ is going to be fairly similar. I didn't have a trade on this early in the week, but we can see kind of how it played out. So weekly time frame, we're back in a buy area. So price closed bearish. So we had this pullback into the support. We were bullish all this way on this weekly time frame for literally like months, like a year, pretty much bullish all the way up. So as price is pulling back into the support, definitely looking to see whether price is going to shoot up from that level. And then, yeah, looking at the 152.2 area. So as we can see here, price shot up. And then we talked about, where were we going to take actual entries on this? So let's head over to the chart and let's see what went on. So we got GJ, this, boom. So GJ, let's see, this was the 25th right here. All right, so GJ, we actually opened up, price was like right around here. I think that was like an old analysis, but price opened up here. I actually entered a trade at this area. The reason why, guys, is because a few reasons why. We had a couple of confirmations. This trend line, so we were trending bullish. We broke below here. We retested it. We talked about as long as we're below this new lower high that formed, we're certainly in a downtrend. We come up to the daily time frame. We can see as well, daily time frame started to trend down on the daily. So we broke support here, retested as resistance right there. And then pretty much just getting all this bearish price action. So once it broke support here, formed a new low, had this little engulfing, pulled back, rejected the resistance. You know, that was ultimately the entry area right over here. So I actually entered like after pretty much on the open. So right over here is where I entered. And then this thing ended up going about 130 in profit. So this is an example of a trade where it goes into profit about 1-to-1 risk reward. Move your stops to break even. It came within 5-7 pips or whatever of hitting the stop break even stop loss, but it's still being maintained right now. So if this thing does shoot up, you know, I would definitely not hold it, you know, get out of the trade. But decent idea on GJ for this week. So let's go back and let's take a look now. So I had pulled up last week's analysis. So let's take a look at NZD USD. So this is a trade that I gave out on Sunday. Weekly time frame, we could see price hit this resistance level up here. We had this huge push down on the weekly from the previous, not last week, but the week prior. And then we had this is just a retracement, guys. We have the support level turned into resistance, this retracement here. So I was just looking for further downward movement. A lot of people 2 weeks ago kind of continued to sell this pair or buy the dollar essentially. So once the dollar made this like huge move to the downside, everyone continued to sell all the way down here, but like it was due for a retracement. So this is the retracement. This is where you should have been taking advantage of this. And then we can see down to the 4-hour time frame. I'll just pull it up right here. We were in a downtrend, very clear trend line, you know, in play on this one. Let's just go ahead and pull it up. I'll just play this forward so you can see, and then let's just pull up the actual chart and see what the confirmations actually were for this trade, because the trade was literally given on like this, on this engulfing. So as you can see here, we mapped out what the trend was, very clearly bearish, forming lower lows, lower highs. We've got this trend line in play, very clean. As prices below here, we're looking for sells. But we're not trying to sell down here. You know, we're not trying to sell right here. We're trying to sell at an area that has multiple confirmations. So we've got this blue zone right here. What is this based on? We could even bump up time frames right here and kind of just look at it like on the daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, we could see we have this resistance here. We have support here, resistance here. So this is why I was looking to see how price reacts in that area. And then going into the week, I mean, it was pretty clear that price finally was starting to slow up. A lot of bullish momentum, All of a sudden we get a spinning top, another like more minor spinning top. We have this like hammer candle right here where price is like rejecting the resistance level, large wick to the upside, small body. And then that's when we started to see the reversal. So coming back down to the 4-hour, look at the 4-hour engulfing resistance, 70%, 61.8 area on the fib. So multiple confirmations there. And then also obviously below the trend line. This one came, let's see, about 111 pips. Our stops were 100 pips. So this one came to 1-to-1 as well. Now it's starting to climb back up. So we can either continue to swing trade this, or we can implement the risk plan. So what that would mean is if price manages to close above this resistance level right here, we would then look for the retest. And if price rejects that, this is where we're going to exit. On the flip side, if price manages to get below this resistance, that's when we're going to take ultimately our reentry. See. So yeah, that's NZD USD. You know, we'll see next week, you know, what the move is on this one, but pretty much this is going to be it. 2 scenarios there, so both of those are certainly in play. So let's go next. Let's see what's next on the radar. We had USD CAD. All right, so this one I took a loss on last week. So we had 3 winners, 1 loser. USD CAD was the opposite idea of all those other pairs, this one was looking for the dollar to continue to sell off. So we had this flag pattern that was forming. We had this break below and then the retest with the wicks right there. So I was expecting price to maybe push to the downside on this one. And then we weren't going to take buys unless we did get above this resistance level. So let's see how it played out. We got our two scenarios. So we had scenario one invalidated, price came up. We actually activated scenario number two, price ended up going up 100 pips. So price came down, retested the support level. I didn't take this second trade, but it was definitely valid. And that ended up coming up about 100 pips. We had stops at about 60 pips. So this would have been a nice almost 2-to-1, risk reward. And as we can see now, dipping back down. So let's go ahead and pull this one up. All right, so we had scenario number one, flag pattern, came up, invalidated, stops were hit. Then we removed that, and then we had basically scenario number two, price goes ahead, breaks the resistance, and retested it. Why am I looking at this level, guys? Is because we had resistance here, support here. So clearly this is an area where price reacts to pretty violently, moves to the upside a bunch. Right here, rejected it pretty well after this large fall off. So that was the area I was looking at as support. And it would have been a pretty tough trade to catch. You would have had to obviously either set a limit order or just been like literally watching it. And as soon as it spiked down into this area, entered it. So that's kind of why I didn't get in on it. But the theory, the idea was there for sure. And it definitely played out well. You would have, at the worst case, moved your stops and gotten stopped out at break even. And then best case, you would have captured 1 to 3 of what you put in. So that was USD CAD. We had a few others given out because on Sunday, Nick wasn't on the call. So I was giving out some trades on these as well with EJ, AJ, and I believe AU, but you went over AU.
Yeah.
So we had EJ on the weekly time frame. We had marked down. We went over this one like pretty in depth. So if you want to see the breakdown of this, just go back to last week's session. But it's pretty simple. We had support over here, resistance here, and then as we could see, price broke below the resistance, and we were just retesting it. And then coming down to the daily time frame again. This is exactly what we look for. Break of support right here, retest as resistance. Look at the wicks. Look at these doji candles. That's kind of why we entered this. And then coming down to the 4-hour time frame, again, price came up, struggling. Evening star. We have like another evening star, no engulfings, but pretty much entered this right here. So entered on this in this area. Oh yeah, that's why. I'm wondering why the time is all fucked up because I changed this. Here we go. Yeah, now this makes sense. All right, so entered in this area, thing came down about 100 pips. We had our stops at about 100 pips. So this one came to 1-to-1 as well. I mean, definitely could have moved stops on this one a lot closer. This was just like a very conservative stop loss, above the trend line and above the 78.6 level, but definitely could have squeezed stops on this one a little bit more. And yeah, it came down to 1-to-1, came back up, retested it, and now it's like playing out again. So EJ might end up swinging down to the downside on this one. Then we had AJ. So this one didn't really activate and missed by a little bit. But going back to Sunday, let's take a look. This is when we opened. Here we go. So this was pretty much on the call right here. And it was like, okay, we're up at the resistance. Ultimately, I did want it to push up into this level because this was an area that had a lot of like previous rejection. We can see the wicks like diving into this level over and over again, this support area. Even going back further, we had a lot of resistance at this area. So that's why the level was placed. And then I was thinking, price does make it there. It's going to probably reject hard as fuck. let's see this. So that's when we were looking to take the short, but it didn't reach up there. Ended up just tanking, pretty much for the entire week just from that area. So if you did get in on this, the swing trade idea was there. It was valid. Again, broke the support, has these dojis. That's exactly what we look for, telling us that buyers are exhausted, we're struggling to break higher, and then it just shot to the downside. So that was AJ, and then yeah, Nick went over everything else, all the other AU, UJ, and everything like that. So that was pretty much all the analysis that was given last week. We'll be back this week, either on Sunday or Monday, just giving out free ideas. Free ideas here. I take the trades on my account that are given on the call. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they lose. Last week we had one loser and three winners. The reason I closed those trades super early was because of NFP today. I didn't want to get smoked by NFP. After I was in some profits, and since I was in three trades that were running, it ended up totaling like about 2% for the week. So for me, that's fine for the account. So kept that in play, closed those up. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for me, guys. If you have any questions, last minute, just feel free to post up in the chat. Yeah, I don't know if Nick's still there, but
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, we're gonna be doing it again Sunday, guys. So if this is your first time, jumping into these sessions, or if you're a veteran, we're gonna cover it all again on Sunday and do this pretty much all over again.
yeah, and all these trades were, most of them were covered in the rapid signals as well. There was tons of trades around the dollar given out that week, and I'm showing my account for that. I do have it's basically like an indicator that is taking the trades as they're getting sent into the Telegram onto my account. So you're seeing a lot of different positions open and whatnot. So it's all pretty much automated in that sense. So it's super interesting. We're testing it out. Hopefully in the future we'll be able to give that to you guys, so you guys can plug that in as well, because there's a lot of signals being taken in there. There's multiple TPs. You really should be either opening the trade for multiple, or opening trades for each TP, and then like controlling your risk for each level or whatnot, or managing it yourself more closely. And I think that utilizing the indicator, or it's not an indicator, it's an EA, will help with that. So I'm testing that out myself. There'll be some updates coming out this week. And then other than that, I mean, shout out, I see Christian in the chat, man. You've been crushing it, helping out the community and whatnot. We definitely appreciate that. A lot of new people joining up. So definitely appreciate having you, give some expertise in there, as you can say. And for everyone else, like Nick said, if you're new, to the Forex League chat, I mean, feel free to drop your analysis, and we've got plenty of people in there that are willing to help. More than not, the successful traders don't like speak as much. Some of the Forex League members that are in there in the past have been more vocal, but there are people in there willing to help you out. So if you do want to share your analysis, you have questions, anything like that, don't be don't be shy. And, utilize all the free stuff that's in there, guys.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. There's a lot of resources for your benefit. But on that note, guys, happy Friday, end of the week. Take some time to relax, and hopefully we see you guys on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll be back next week, and this will be up on YouTube. So enjoy the weekend, everyone.
Peace, guys.